Dancing was born on the continent of Africa, and that is why Africans are the greatest dancers the world has ever seen. Yeah, I know, some of you might not agree, but watch the end of this video and I will show you just why Africans are the greatest dancers and why we have the best dances and why we are so unique and different from most people of the world, because every African dance tells a story and means a thing. So if it's your first time on the channel, do click on the subscribe button, click on the bell so you're notified every time we make new content. Do not hesitate to give us a like and leave us a comment. Do you agree that Africans are the greatest dancers in the world? Just gonna say, yeah, up Africa, power up or something, say anything. But something positive, of course. But then, if you do not think that Africans have the best dance culture, then just go on and tell me what culture that is that you think have the best dances and that do not have any black or African influence. And maybe we can talk about that some more. So back to the video. African dance is a lot of things and has been described in so many different ways. It could be art, it's visual, it's energetic, it's recreational, but above all, African dances are educational. Did you know that African culture, African education was often transmitted through dance and music? And that was some way the older generation could pass on to the next generation stories about events that have happened, and we're going to see how that happens in so many different scenarios in the life of a typical African. So if you're not African, well, sit back, relax and enjoy this. But I can assure you that if you're African, then I'm sure we're going to talk about something that would give you some real good memories, because you'll be able to relate to a lot of the stuff that I am going to talk about in this video. So when do we dance? We dance in every situation. The typical African has a dance for every situation. So we have different dances with which we mark various milestones in the cycle of life. So there are songs and dances for when a child is born. We have dances at naming ceremonies, during initiation rites, and I know you're wondering, what the hell are initiation rites? Oh yeah, now there are certain stages people get to in their lives and they get to be initiated into new states. So sometimes an age grade thing, sometimes it's a title thing. Maybe in some parts of Africa where we take titles and then a man can become, Jefo one, Ichie Buruburu, number one of a Deata kingdom. You understand that kind of thing? I'm sure you've probably seen that in some Nollywood movies. But yes, taking titles is a real thing, and I am an actual chief. And my title is Chinyalugo. What I go? Chinyalugo 1. Alright, so in some parts of Africa, initiations can mean a lot of things. You could get initiated into a cult. Yeah, they are traditional cults, good cults, of course. And then you could become a chief. You could reach a certain level in your growth and development. For example, the rites of puberty. So when young boys reach the age of puberty, they are inducted into the cult of men and they are no longer boys. So the dressing changes. They have to dress in certain ways and they'd be expected to attend certain kinds of meetings and make contributions in certain communal efforts. You understand what I mean? And then there are marriages. There are dances for marriage, and again, if you're a fan of African movies, you would have seen lots and lots of those in African movies where people get married, and there are all those dances and beautiful dresses and all of that. And of course, when people die, we have dances for death, and I'm sure you'd remember these famous Ghanaian undertakers. Yeah, they kind of became famous in the year 2020 when their dances went viral. And yes, those dances happen at actual funeral, and there are people in those caskets who are going to get buried. So I know it might be cringy for some of you, but in those cultures, it's a beautiful thing they do. And that is your way of showing respect to the dead, because in Africa, we don't die, we multiply. And so when somebody transcends to join the ancestors, we do not consider them dead. We only believe that they have moved on and will return, because in this continent, reincarnation is a thing. and we might actually talk about that someday. If you're interested in talking about it with me, then maybe I would make a video to talk about that. So some other situations that get us ready to dance would be war. So when Africans prepare for war, we dance. And I know what you might be thinking. War should be a time of reflection, planning, strategies, and all that. But part of the preparation of strategy of most African tribes would be to sing, would be to dance, and would be to prepare their spirits. And that's because a war is beyond the clashing of knives and the shooting of guns. There's a lot more to it, which I will not go into in this video because that has to be like a whole new topic of its own. So if you're interested in talking about that, let me know in the comment section, and maybe I'll make a video about wars in Africa. And if you're a fan of the New Zealanders haka, you know, the haka that they do when they play football, then you might be interested in some of those great war dances coming out of Africa. Some really famous ones would be the Zulu war dance, and you know, we love the spear thrust and the high kicks and the jumps. Beautiful, beautiful. And you know, it would be kind of difficult to imagine that these guys are actually warriors and going into fight and would actually kill people, you know, moments after doing this dance. But if you want to see some more serious looking and scary war dance, then you should look at your Hafia or Abreba war dance. Now, the Ohafia men do this dance to show that they have been fortified and they are ready to go into war. And you know, for some of those people, warriors have to be invincible. And yeah, the stuff on that guy's head, those are skulls, actual human skulls that were taken during previous battles. And when they're prepared to go into battle, they have to take the skulls of their enemies, put them on their heads, and then they have to dance. And that way they strike fear into the hearts of their enemies, because they show them what they would become. Heads on trays that they will use for their cultural dances. Yeah, so you know, dance is a very integral part of war, and people have to do that to get themselves ready, to get themselves fortified, to get themselves in tune with nature and ready to face off with their enemies. Anyways, all that's by the way, and exciting as it may seem, we just have to talk about work right now. So when Africans work, they also sing and dance, and we have, you know, lots of plays, lots of dances that portray the different work people do. And when you travel from culture to culture, you can tell what kind of work the people do by the kind of dances they do. So when you look at this masquerade, you can tell that it comes from a village of palm wine tappers. You look at these other group, you can tell that they are fishermen, and it's very clear, it's easy to see from the dance that they do. And then you look at some of the dance, you'd be able to tell these are farmers, because oftentimes people get to demonstrate what kind of work they do in the dance. And when they work, they sing, they dance. And so if you're Black American and you've seen all those movies about the black slaves in America, it would make a little more sense to you why they sing while working. It's an African thing. You know, the white man did not make the slave sing. No, the black man already sang. I'm sure the white man was like, if it helps them work better, then you just go on and sing, you black Negroes. Terrible, right? Alright, so let's move on. Religion. In religious worship, dance plays also a very integral part, you know, like in the worship of Shango. You know, dance is such a really important part of this worship, and you can see the worshippers get possessed by the spirit of Shango, and you can see them, you know, dance ecstatically and speak strange languages and fall around. And eventually when you get these black people into the Christian church, yeah, they would also sing and dance and get filled by the Holy Spirit and fall around under the influence of the Christian spirit, of course. Yeah, so dance is kind of like, it's just a black man thing. Whatever you want them to do, they're going to dance doing it. And let's talk about protests. Yeah, so you know, we've seen a lot about all of those beautiful things people do and they could dance their way through. But when people protest, especially black people, dance also becomes an integral part of that. And we saw that just last year in the NSAS protests happening in Nigeria. There were more protesters dancing in the streets than those actually destroying stuff, which almost never really happened until government forces came in and did that themselves. But a very typical story would be the gum boot dance coming out of South Africa. Now, in apartheid South Africa, black mine workers were not allowed to sing or dance while working. And despite all the restrictions that were put on them, they learned to stand side by side and to dance in rhythm using their gum boots. And today, isn't that a wonderful, beautiful, beautiful kind of dance? We all enjoy it now, but a lot of people don't know the history of that. That dance came as a result of protests by people who wanted to dance while working but would not be allowed to do that. How awesome is that? And talk about entertainment. Black people love to entertain themselves, and so Africans prepare certain dances that are not for religious or war purposes, just to entertain one another. And sometimes these dances could be done using masquerades, and sometimes just a bunch of kids or a bunch of elderly people. And these dances can be presented to royalty, to important people, to visitors, or just to fellow community members who come to sit around and to enjoy these dances, especially when the moon is up. Yeah, we call that the moonlight play, and a lot of African cultures have that. So African dances are usually done in very colorful costumes, and masks are a very integral part of African dances. Can you imagine that? You can't have African dances without masks, and so when you travel through most of Africa, you're going to find masks, different masks, beautiful masks. And masks always tell a story and have a very great significance in African dance. But that's a story for another day. So let me know if you want to hear all about African masks and the role that they play in the African culture, in African music, and African dance, and African education. Do well to let me know, and probably I'll make a video on that also. So at this point, I think I have said quite enough to make you understand that black people dance through every situation and every circumstance. There doesn't have to be like a special occasion for dance, because every occasion is an occasion for dance. Whether it's good news or bad news or terrible news, Africans will always have a spare minute to put a dance together. And together they've been able to preserve all of those dances coming all the way from centuries ago, from thousands of years back, up until dances that are created even right now. Africans are ingenious in that way, and we keep creating and evolving our dance, our music, our culture, and we hope that someday we can truly get to share with the world the beauty of African dance. And we have people from the academia trying to help us do this. And just in case you didn't know, there is such a thing as green notation, which is the science and art of documenting African music and dance. Yeah, so people are writing the dance down because they feel that documenting it will keep it alive till the end of time. But the question is, who's kept it alive all this while? We didn't need to write it down, but we still have it. But above all, we're all enjoying it. So whether you want to document African music or whether you just want to enjoy it, it's all good. Doesn't really matter. The spirit of our ancestors will always find ways to create new dance steps and new ways to get this stuff done and enjoyed. And if you've made it to this point in this video and you still haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. Click on the subscribe button now. Click on the bell so you're notified every time we make new content. We'd like to hear from you. What did you think about this video? Would you like us to make similar videos as this? Do well to let us know, and we'll be glad to do that just for you. So give us a like, share this content. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. So if you haven't seen my previous videos in this series, well, to go check them out. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye, and stay good. Yeah, stay good.